Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett. And after 2 years of trash talking and will they, won't they, Jake Paul finally faced off against Tommy Fury, and the result was pretty boring. But in the end, Tommy Fury edges over Jake Paul in a split decision, and now everyone's wondering, will there be a rematch, and will anybody care the second time? Patrick Cassett, what did you think of this fight, and do you think there'll be another?
Josh, let me put it like this. Jake Paul's boxing career is dead. You can't lose to Tommy Fury, right? So you strategically have mapped out all these opponents that you should beat. And then when you lose to the opponents that you should beat, it really doesn't work.
So you're saying that, for you. Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I think out of all the fighters Jake's fought, Tommy Fury was clearly the best fighter. That being said,
considering that he was a boxer, yeah, he was.
Well, that being said, it was a terrible fight by Tommy. It was very ugly by him and ugly by Jake. Like, I think that was Jake's worst performance, but I think that was Tommy. Like, I don't know if that's Tommy's best performance or not. Either way,
Josh, I feel like an idiot.
Boxing purists are mad. Influencer boxing fans are mad. It feels like nobody's happy walking away from that fight.
Josh, I feel like an idiot because I was buying into the whole, like, Jake Paul, he could actually be a real boxer. You know, he might actually do this thing. Yeah. And then I'm just an idiot.
Here's the thing. I still think Jake can box better than he showed up yesterday. I think Jake,
but that's not because I
think we've seen Jake do some things that I'm like, hey, listen, for a guy who's never boxed and hasn't been boxing his entire life, he's done some good things. I will say, if there is a rematch, and I think I'm expecting there to be a rematch because there is a clause in the contract that the loser gets to, ask for a rematch if they so desire. And I think if there is a rematch, should we expect the same old, kind of the same thing that we saw yesterday, or will we expect one of them to take a major leap in their game? I'm not sure.
Josh, I mean, like, let's put it like this. They're going to do a rematch, and I don't think that many people are going to care because part of it is Jake Paul was undefeated, right? So Tommy Fury, wasn't he on Love Island? Whatever. Reality star, Tommy Fury, okay? He's got to be feeling great this morning.
Tommy is definitely Tyson's brother. Right.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So how terrible do you have to feel if you're Tommy Fury and it's like, hey, my brother Tyson, one of the great, probably it's going to be in the conversation for one in some people's mind. He's in the conversation of like top 5 heavyweights of all time, right. And I'm here like just barely beating Jake Paul split decision. That's got to be tough for Tommy.
I don't know. Spin zone. Some people would argue that Tyson being so good put Tommy over the top. Tommy's nothing without Tyson.
I mean, you could say that, but it still sucks for him because it's obviously it would suck that to be nothing without your brother. I would say is the overall message there.
So Josh, as a Paul, I don't want to call supporter, but a Paul follower.
Yeah, I would say a Paul follower for Jake specifically.
Right. Why was this fight at 5:00 on a Sunday?
That's great. Well, it was in the UK. So I think that they just have a different time zone there. It was terrible. I texted and people in my family, they gave me heat for it. I texted them about like 2 p.m. I said, hey, like, fight's on tonight. If you guys want to get some food, I'll make some snacks if you guys want to watch. And then I go to double check what time it was, and we were like in the second round. And I was like, oh shoot, never mind, it's on right now. I had no idea. And I'm somebody who like actually like is like pays attention more than some people. So I can imagine the amount of people who probably turned on their TV at like 10 p.m. last night, getting ready for that fight. I feel like it has to be a surprising amount.
So does the rematch happen in the United States or the UK?
Well, I think if Jake won, it would have probably definitely been in the United States. Now I feel like, does he have the right to have it in the US?
Well, and that's the other thing is you got to remember that Jake Paul, is still undefeated on American soil, right? So maybe he's just not an international fighter.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Listen, a lot of people cheer Drake. Lost a lot of money. Apparently, Drake publicly put a lot of money on Jake. I know
Should we be
Dave
having a
Portnoy.
discussion? Should we be having a discussion about Drake? Does Drake have a gambling problem?
I think he might. I think Drake has a very bad gambling problem.
Because he's not good at gambling either. That's the other thing.
Is it a gambling problem if you can afford to lose it? That's like if I went to the arcade a bunch and like was just spent a bunch on like playing the little games, and I was like, oh, this is fun. It's like, do I have an arcade problem? I don't know.
Yeah, but I would probably
go
say
to the
you have an
arcade a
arcade
lot.
problem because you're an adult
Oh,
at a kid's arcade.
okay. What if I was a kid then? Okay, so I'm a kid and I'm going to the arcade a bunch. Do I have an arcade problem? I think I just like the arcade.
Well, then I would spin zone that as why do your parents keep taking you to the arcade?
Do they have an arcade problem? Well, he might have a gambling problem. I think he's pretty open about it. I think he should be more concerned about his killing problem, though.
We're going there.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to go there. I don't want this episode to be blacklisted. But yeah. So we'll see who wins the next fight. I think it could be an entertaining fight, or it could not be. Will anybody care? I don't know. Is this going to be one of the great? If Jake wins, do we get a third? That's like, is that what we get to look forward
to? The trilogy.
It's
the trilogy. No,
an all-time trilogy of Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Speaking of all-time moments, Damian Lillard dropped 71 points against the Rockets. If you were a Rockets fan, you go, of course, somebody dropped 71 on us. Rockets are absolutely awful. And it's crazy to think how far they've fallen because literally like 5 years ago, they were great. They were a great franchise. Damian Lillard, though, trying to keep the NBA alive in this act, trying to say, hey, good things watch the NBA. Cool things are happening. For me, it's just not enough to make me turn on the TV. Patrick, what were your thoughts on the Dame 71-point game?
Like Damian Lillard, but nobody cares. No one cares.
I hate to say it. That's tough. I really wish and listen, 71 is a feat. That's a lot. Now, if LaMelo Ball dropped 71, I'd be screaming through the microphone this morning.
But my thing is like the modern era that we have here with the NBA is people are going to score a lot of points, and I'm not taking anything away, right? It's still a feat whenever you drop 50, 60, 71 in this case. But this should be a bigger story, and it's not. It's not, because we don't care. The problem is when the NBA players don't care about the regular season, why should I as a fan care about the regular season?
Yeah, doesn't it feel like we know the teams that are going to be sorted in the playoffs. Like right now, it's like, it's pretty much set. Like, here's what's going to happen.
Well, and the other thing is, like, I've heard a lot of other people talk about with the NBA, you don't see first round upsets. Like, you don't see like a 6 seed taking out a 3 seed.
Well, because it's 7 games. So it's like when you have a series and you go across 7 games, generally
the better team's going to win.
The better team's going to win. That's how it goes.
Well,
so you look at because listen, in the NFL, for instance, in March Madness, we've seen one time a 16 seed upset a 1.
Right.
In a 7-game series, that 16 seed would lose.
Probably
most times, if they played 7 games, they lose 7. If I know they would never play. They would never win another game. If they won 1 game, that's it. They're probably losing by 40 the next one. So that's just how it goes. You give it enough. You give it multiple games, the better team's going to win. And that's why in the NBA, it's like, you're right. We'll never see an upset like that. Like, it'd be so hard for an upset to happen because a team would have to literally just like show up and have like 4 mini upsets.
And like the thing is like Damian Lillard dropping 71 is like showing up to your office job and just being really good that day. Like you're not getting anything special.
Yeah. And arguably, it's like, hey, I mean, you're not even close. You're saying like, oh, we score so much more points now. I'm saying we score less. Like, I think this is a feat because back in the day we had Wilt, so
Right? We're actually scoring less
we're
points.
scoring less points. So
Does the NBA
honestly,
have a scoring problem?
I think the NBA might need to step it up. I think they're playing a little bit too much defense. These guys can't compete.
Well, that's the problem is when you got Wilt Chamberlain, he's dropping 100. Damian Lillard, he's doing all he can just to get 71.
Yeah,
So you're still only 30 points away. That's tough.
30
That's tough because
points is
that's
a
what people are
lot of
averaging these
points.
days. So this is what I think we need to do, Josh, is we don't have enough people scoring 100 points. So I
Yeah,
think we need to just stop playing good defense. I think
yeah,
we need to expand the time in the game. So if you are at 60 points scored, there's going to be an extra fifth quarter at it.
yeah. That's good.
Right. I mean, I think
Or
that's how you solve this problem.
for every basket you score, additional time is added to the clock, and so it's
Correct.
like,
You've heard of the Elam ending.
But
Well,
but that's only for your team. And so you say at the end of the game, you might have 2 minutes extra time on the clock. Other team has no extra time on the clock, and you just get 2 minutes of just layup lines.
layup lines, right? Because the defense was too tough.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you got to give him the free pass. I agree, Josh.
So LeBron James got hurt. Is this a storyline from every other week in the NBA? Yes. Is it something we're going to cover? Absolutely. LeBron James' foot is hurt now. If you guys remember the last time we talked about the show, it was his finger from the All-Star game, which, as we know, we've already given our take, was just a disgusting form of basketball where the players were just playing a little bit too hard. Not in my All-Star game, but now LeBron James is having a foot injury, probably going to sit a bunch of games. Does this mean something? Well, actually, in this case, it actually might, because after pretty much changing their entire roster, the Lakers were looking not half bad.
That they looked competent.
Something we couldn't say about this Lakers team prior to today.
Right. So LeBron, he gets the foot injury. And the problem is like, I didn't realize that kings get hurt. And some are wondering whether LeBron is really the king. Is he the king of LA? Is he the king of Cleveland? Is he the king of Akron? Nobody knows where this guy's actually from.
Yeah. How do you become a king, by the way? Do you got to be like
I think he was self-proclaimed.
Well, don't you have to? It's not like when you're knighted, you got like a queen does the thing, but don't you have to get some sort of ceremony to become a king?
I don't remember LeBron ever having the ceremony, Josh.
I don't either, which is why I'm questioning the legitimacy of his kinghood.
Good question.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be tough. How long does he expect to be out though, Patrick? Do we know?
Josh, we don't know. It's too early to tell. And that's the problem is when you're a 38-year-old, the body just doesn't heal as fast, So we're going to have to see LeBron. He called these last remaining 23 games the biggest, most important games of his life. So if we're talking about a king that really cares for his kingdom, he'll be back out on the floor.
Yep, hopefully so. Moving on to NFL news, the Bears are trading the number 1 pick, probably, is what Adam Schefter's reporting.
Right.
I think we all kind of assumed this was going to happen when they have a dynamic quarterback who they think can be a franchise guy.
Right.
Most of the people who, there's like a handful of teams there who want a quarterback, and so therefore the bidding on those first few picks could be high because everyone's like, hey, listen, there's only about many people's eyes, I feel like there's only a very few quarterbacks in this draft class that people feel like can do something. It's not a very strong quarterback class, aside from maybe three guys.
Right.
And so people are gonna try to trade up, and that's what the Bears are thinking. They were like, "Hey, how much can we get for this?"
and the thing is you generally are looking at a team that it's probably going to shock you when they trade up to one, right? It's never like, oh, that's the team that we expected, was going to trade up. And when you start looking at the draft order, you start going, well, Seahawks are at 5, right? They got the pick from the Broncos. Well, they trade up for a quarterback. I know that they want to,
Yeah. But
believe in Geno, but
they got Geno though, so
right. You start
but
looking
they
at it.
probably want somebody to develop behind Geno for a while. Let Geno be a mentor. Kind of a Jordan Love situation.
Right. Geno's such a great guy. But you start looking at, well, okay, Las Vegas Raiders are at 7. Mark Davis, we've talked about his girlfriend status. He seems like he's a big splash guy. Would he try to go number 1?
He could. I mean, I think that they don't have a quarterback right now, so that tells me they need a quarterback.
Right.
There's only 2 ways to get a quarterback. 3 ways to get a quarterback. You can trade for one, draft one, or acquire one in free agency.
Yeah, so when you look at it, I just don't understand who's going to, I mean, obviously there's going to be a team that's going to trade up, but
Yeah.
who do you even take number 1? That's the problem. There's no solidified guy that's like, you have to take this guy at number 1, right? There's no Andrew Luck in this draft. There's no Peyton Manning or whatever. Well, Peyton Manning didn't even go.
I mean, we don't even know who the first quarterback taken off the board is going to be.
Well, some are saying Anthony Richardson now, Josh.
Which, by the way, how did that happen? How did Anthony Richardson all of a sudden? It was Bryce Young forever.
CJ Stroud.
And then it was Bryce Young, 1, CJ Stroud 2, and then somehow it's like Bryce Young is 2 now. But no, it wasn't CJ Stroud leapfrog him. CJ Stroud's actually now 3. Somebody leapfrogged both of them. It's like, wait.
And some are even saying CJ Stroud's still 2, Bryce Young's down to 3.
No,
and you're like,
what?
And you're like, well, where does this come from?
It's like the combine hasn't even happened yet. This is like all in people's brains. Like people formed. We watched an entire college football season. People formed their opinions, and then without having watched any more college football, people's opinions, which were set in stone, just completely just flip-flopped in a second. How does that happen? I have no idea. And so now you're right. I have no idea who's going to be drafted number 1. I have no idea who's going to be drafting number 1. Even if, for instance, the Colts tomorrow traded for the number 1 pick. I don't know who they're taking. Can you imagine if this is all the Bears just they're just trying to get in people's heads? They're thinking everyone's like, oh man, somebody's
going to trade.
Somebody's going to make a trade, and then they don't make a trade with anybody, and they draft a quarterback and screw up every single person's draft boards.
Well, it would also just be very funny if, I think Jeff reported,
and then they trade they trade their guy to the Ravens,
Justin Fields. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
So it would be very funny if the Bears just actually aren't getting any calls about the number 1 pick, and they're just like, yeah, you know what,
we're
getting a lot of calls.
A lot of people
it's
like
awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to play the 1,000 IQ.
Well, that's what a lot of teams do. We live in a world now where everything that's ever reported, we can question whether it's true or not, and that's just how it's going to be forever.
I still can't believe Anthony Richardson's the number 1. Potential to go number 1.
I'll be honest with you, Patrick. I didn't really if you told me before I looked him up on this show, where hey, where did Anthony Richardson play? I would have been like, somewhere down south, one of those schools down there. That I wouldn't have known.
You still don't know?
Florida Gators.
There you go. Boom.
I know now. I said it before. I looked it up now.
I was just no. But I'm saying,
but I'm saying now it's but pre this show, I wasn't 100% sure. I didn't know.
Josh, I'm going to be completely honest. I sat there and I watched Anthony Richardson on week 1.
And you said this guy's going to be number 1 draft pick.
Well, he beat Utah, and I said this guy might win the Heisman. I said this guy looks good. And then it was about 5 weeks later, and I realized, yeah, so they're a 7-5 team.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
It's probably not going to win the Heisman on a 7-5 team, but you could be drafted number 1. So it's good for him. Good for him.
Would you rather be Stetson Bennett and be a finalist for the Heisman, and then
Well,
maybe get drafted in like the 5th round?
that's
Or would you
that's
rather be
such a
Anthony
great
Richardson?
point. What is like the Stetson Bennett treatment is so funny because Stetson Bennett, you're right, was a Heisman finalist, 2-time national champion, and like, and he's not even in the conversation. Like, he's not going to get drafted in the first round.
No. And well, let me put it like this. I mean, Stetson Bennett, he has been arrested. Did get the did get the public intoxication. I'm a little scared for him to interview with these teams, and that's all I'm gonna put out there. Interesting
Mm.
guy.
Well, that's tough. But we also know, most of his success came from Ravens offensive coordinator Todd
Todd Monken.
Monken. So
Exactly. So some people are calling him a system quarterback. So.
system quarterback, and we get the system now. So guess what? We're gonna. I mean,
Who's
we're
the real
just
winner?
we're gonna forget about the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
We're just gonna what?
Oh no, Josh! I'm gonna have selective memory about the Buccaneers.
Oh my
okay?
gosh, Jameis Winston was throwing so many touchdowns.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick, they were both top 10 guys.
Oh yeah, they had 2 top 10. He made 2 top 10 quarterbacks.
And you know how it goes. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Well, you know what? It sounded like Monken could have had 3.
Yeah. So that seems like a great situation there. We'll see where our boy Stetson ends up. If I had to guess, he'll be a very good backup for like a few years somewhere.
And then just like has to try to find like Bill Belichick, someone like that to like hang around and get like the 3rd string job every preseason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that would be interesting. Moving on to a different brand of football, but less than or equal to entertaining.
Really?
At moments, it's very entertaining. At moments, it's not as good. But the XFL, I watched my Houston Roughnecks win last night, and it was a tight match. Okay, there's no way around it. We were playing Arlington, and Arlington's good. They were 1-0 coming into the game.
Mhm.
They put up a tough fight, but at the end of the day, when you're going against 2 dynamic quarterbacks, it's hard to win. I mean, Silvers, man, he can chuck that ball. He's throwing lasers.
You watched the same game I watched? He couldn't hit anyone down the field plus 30 yards. He was just throwing bombs down there to no one.
Yeah, he was throwing bombs though. Yeah, keyword. He was throwing bombs.
You want to know the stat line on this Silvers guy?
Okay.
He went 14 for 28.
Yeah, because he's chucking it.
Yeah. You can't the Roughnecks would have won by 30 if he could have just completed a pass past 20 yards.
He did have some wide open receivers. He did overthrow. He's just getting used to the timing because he's used to NFL caliber wide receivers. They're a little bit faster.
Well, and you also got to think, he's coming off the long winter. It's starting to get a little warm outside. He's down in Houston. It's probably a little bit humid down there. He's probably not used to the air.
Ball's probably traveling a little bit further.
Yeah, he's just not used to it. So it's just he's got to get adapted to it.
But
it's okay.
And the thing is, he doesn't even have to perform in the red zone. He just has to get us there because we got a guy for the red zone. McDonald, I believe is no.
0 for 1. 0 for 1 on the day. Yeah, McDonald.
Yeah. He doesn't have to throw the ball at all. He just goes to the red zone, hands the ball off, and then sometimes he'll run the ball. And we get the job done. And our defense is scary. Now, that game kind of came down to a penalty. Silvers threw an interception, bad interception. You can't throw an interception when he did. Didn't matter because there's penalty on the defense on the play. Right. It was kind of a ticky-tacky call. Some people are going to bring that up. A win's a win. I feel good about it. I think moving forward, we're still the number 1 team in football. Silvers, you're right. He does need to protect the ball a little bit more. But if he starts just completing a couple more of those passes with his arm, it's gonna be a good thing. We got a good thing going. How is the DC Defenders
DC
weekend?
Defenders also 2-0. I still got the Roughnecks up there. At number one. They're going to be at the top of the power rankings this week. Spoiler alert.
They
But
beat because they beat a good Arlington team.
like
I
a
think
solid.
if you look at take away that game, like I will say, I have a lot more respect for Arlington and they're kind of like our rivals, because
Right. It's an in-state.
in-state thing, and we share a lot. We share hotel rooms, so big rivalry game, and so but Arlington's tough, and I'll give them
Well,
the
and I
respect.
just want to point out that the Defenders go on the road to Vegas. Okay. Looked like they were playing in a Dollar Tree Stadium, and they only give up 6 points. People laughed when I compared them to the 85 Bears, to the 2000 Ravens, but this DZ Defenders defense is legitimate. Okay.
That seems
So,
legit.
so when you can go on the road to Vegas, and everybody knows there's a little bit of trouble in Vegas, you see the boys
Who
out there week 2 after a win, boom, they stay locked in and focused. It's nice to look, and we're bringing the lemon party back to DC this Sunday.
It's good for you guys. I think it's going to be interesting. Great
And
story.
also the Defenders. Well, I just want to say real quick, the Defenders, we have our own McDonald. We have De'Aaron King, Miami legend. He didn't even try to pass the ball, Josh. He just runs it in.
Yeah, but listen, here's the thing. The question is 18 points going to be enough to beat a team like the Roughnecks?
But we didn't have to play the Roughnecks, Josh. 18 was good enough yesterday.
Okay. Okay, you're right. Battlehawks, by the way, Battlehawks are quickly becoming a fan favorite after the just emotional story of their quarterback name,
AJ
McCarron, former Alabama quarterback, national championship champion, I believe. Listen, he took a pay cut to play in the XFL just so his sons could see him play.
That's cool.
That's an emotional story. People are people.
Hold up.
What?
A former Raven, Brett Hundley, started for the Vipers the other day.
Oh wow.
So not Tyler, not to be confused with Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, Hundley.
This is Brett Hundley. That I don't think anybody else other than me cared about that, but that was
good for you.
Whoa. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to NASCAR. The boys head west to Auto Club, and not a super great track. That's not one of my favorite tracks.
It's one of my favorites.
Was it? Kyle Busch wins, getting his first win in a new car. He's only had 2 races in the new car, and people are calling Joe Gibbs clowns for letting him go because clearly he can still race.
Yeah. Here's the thing. He had the best car yesterday. Arguably was the best driver in the field yesterday. Watch out for them. What was interesting about yesterday's race, and I got into a whole Google search thing last night before bed, is I just didn't know it could snow at the club. It snowed there on Saturday.
I didn't know that either.
So I'm arguing that maybe all NASCAR tracks should have snow the day before a race.
Why?
Because did you see the mountains in the background? It looked awesome.
Okay, so that's some more of an aesthetic reason.
It's an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has any better racing, but aesthetically it looked really cool.
Yeah, listen, I was kind of checked out of that race. My pick of the race was Kyle Larson, and he was in the garage by the second lap with engine troubles. Tough look for him, which is, by the way, 2 weeks in, no points, just it's not how you want to start the season. You're Kyle Larson. Now he'll get a win, so he'll be fine. He shouldn't be. He's not gonna be too concerned. I feel like when it comes to the chase, or playoffs. Do we call it the chase anymore?
It's playoffs.
Yeah,
now, Josh.
Yeah. Okay. I still like the chase. It's a good name.
The chase was like back in the day. It was you throw it on. It's 2010. It was welcome to the Dover race. It's part of the Sprint Cup for the chase. And you're
absolutely.
you're that sounds really official.
Yeah,
And it's
but
like playoffs. It's like, okay, standard,
yeah,
whatever.
playoffs is kind of, you're right. It's a little bit more tame. Chase is like, that's exciting. But anyway, the playoffs, like he'll be in the playoffs, but people are, I mean, drivers seem to care about playoff points early. Like, and I think because it's hard to picture it now, but the cutoff is always somebody's winning by like 2 points, you know? So
Right.
like if you can get those 2 points now,
Well, so that's why yesterday you bring that up. Like Ross Chastain wins both stages, so he gets the 2 playoff points.
he's going to be
So
good, by the way.
Ross Chastain's good.
Trackhouse Racing has got to be thrilled.
I just want
They're
to say
they're a new
Ross,
team, right?
yeah,
Like they've
brand
been
new
around
team.
for like 2 years.
Suarez is showing off too. Chastain's looking good. I just want to say Chastain came to my high school and did donuts, like
What?
in the parking lot. Yeah,
What? How?
I don't know why. I don't know how that was set up. I think it was
He
for
just came
safe
in and did
driving.
donuts.
He came in, and so like his car's there for, I think it was the Xfinity series, and he's over there by like the auto diesel shops, and they bring him out, and he starts doing some donuts in his car. And I think he was there for like Safe Driving Delaware was a sponsor at the Dover race, and so he was just at Sussex Tech High School just doing burnouts.
That's awesome.
And you know who they didn't tell was coming? They didn't
They
tell
didn't
me
tell
he was
Patrick
coming.
Hassett. They
Nope.
didn't tell
But you
him.
know what they had me do? They had me watch the footage and see if there's anything cool, so I could work on a story for it. I was like, yeah, I really appreciate that.
Man, that sucks, dude. Ross Chastain. Who would have thought that he would have turned into the driver that he is today?
Never would
Yeah.
have thought.
I'm excited. I'm going to the NASCAR race in Dover here in a few weeks. I guess more than a
press
few
or
weeks.
fan?
Well, I'm trying to get it as press. I reached out to the proper people.
I mean, you have the connection.
And they read and they did not get back to me. So I think I might have to go over their head. Might have to text Dale Jr.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, I know the guy that runs the media for Dover. I'm on his email list, so I can forward you his email.
Forward me his email. Yeah, I'm trying to get in there. But I mean, we have a group going, so it's like, but I will leave them to go down. And
how big's the group going?
Man, it's getting bigger. Because this is like the first time we've gone in a while. Dave Klein's inviting everybody, and I'm fine with that.
Well, he's excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good race. By the way, my NASCAR career, for those of you who want an update. So the other day, 2 days ago,
Josh,
a week ago, I raced and I raced for a couple hours, and I got, because here's the thing, it's all muscle memory, right? It's all about remembering what you did and being able to drive the tracks. And I was electric. I was so good. Because I raced for like a couple hours and I got in a groove. And by the end of those 2 hours, I was winning races. And I thought that just meant I was getting better. Turns out I was just getting comfortable, and I was that night. And I didn't take any, I went on again, didn't take any of the muscle memory, and then I sucked again. And now I'm trying to figure out how I can possibly make it so that I can consistently go on and not suck. But I think it's something called practice.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing for you the other night. I hop on a little TikTok live and you finished last.
I did. I couldn't. I don't know what it was. So then I got mad though. I after post live went and I went to an actual track. Finished 8th. So, and it was on the expert setting. Expert everything. So that's a pretty good finish for me. You take an 8th finish. Oh no, Patrick. I thought you were just like listening to me intently. Patrick's frozen, guys. Hey, not bad though. We didn't have Patrick really freeze this show.
I know it was funny. I was sitting there and I was like, wow, the Wi-Fi's good. I was like, this Dave Klein Wi-Fi is like, we're stepping it up, right? And then as soon as we get to the NASCAR talk, where I'm gonna absolutely roast you, it's like the Wi-Fi knew it needed to protect you.
No, Patrick. I mean, I admit,
Josh, you were terrible the other night. You were.
I did not do great. I did not do great.
Out. You you arguably shouldn't have finished the race, and you're sitting there and you're going, "Why can't I turn? Why can't I turn?" Well, it's like Josh. Like normally, if you run your car into the wall enough times, it's not going to perform the way you want it to.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that I couldn't turn. That's why I went into
And then
the
you
wall.
started making the excuses. Well, the calibration settings off. The calibration. So
It
then,
wasn't.
so
By the way,
then,
it wasn't. I did
and so
recalibrate.
right. So then you recalibrate it, and then guess what? It still happens. You still can't win a race.
Well, because I think something was off. I think the garage changed a couple settings, but I need to. You're right. I need to fix it. I need to get good. I need to make some adjustments because
The-
I got a 2-year plan, and right now we're falling behind.
Way behind. The funny thing is like part of me like I'm not gonna have this happen, but like because this is the last thing I need to start doing again as a 22-year-old in college when there's other stuff I need to be doing is get my parents to ship me the PS4 down and start playing NASCAR. Like that's the last thing I need to do, but like I kind of have the itch.
Dude, I've been like, it's been a nice thing. Like on a Friday night, just giving myself 2 hours to sit down, do some racing. You gotta get yourself a steering wheel though.
Well, I did used to have the steering wheel back on the PS2.
Hmm.
I had the steering wheel. Didn't like it.
Is it iRacing official though?
I don't think it was iRacing official. So I don't know. It's tough because the thing is like in a perfect world where money isn't an option, like money isn't an obstacle.
You have a full simulator.
No, I have what
you just have a regular NASCAR.
No, I have what you have, so I can prove to you that I'm better no matter how.
Oh, Patrick, no. With me on the steering wheel on an actual track.
Really? Because I watched you not finish a race.
No, that's dirt track. Do you understand how hard dirt is, Patrick?
Yes, I do, because we played it on the controller, and guess who figured it out?
No, it's harder on the
after
steering wheel.
3
It's
races?
harder on the. No. Yeah, and after 3 races, I'll figure it out too. I only raced.
No,
2.
you have, but you've ran like 17 races on dirt, and you keep telling me Tony Stewart beat you every time.
On the expert settings, Patrick, you were not on the expert settings. You were on hard.
We were on the same settings, Josh, and I beat you head to head, and it wasn't close.
But I'm saying now I'm on expert. You don't know the expert. And by the way, no, Patrick, listen.
I think I'm a better driver than you.
Have you ever, last night I raced Daytona, expert settings. You know how hard that is? I understand
it's hard because you have to absolutely know what you're doing in the draft.
Yeah, started in 39th, and 16 laps, I finished 8th.
That's great, Josh.
So
I would argue I'm a better restrictor plate driver than you, but that's
not anymore. No, Patrick. Oh, I just can't wait for you to get back here. Are you coming? And I know you're not. Are you actually coming for spring break? You're not. So you're telling me I gotta wait till June?
May. It's May. Early May.
Early May.
2 months.
You're not gonna be ready, Patrick, because you're gonna be out of. You're gonna
by
be
then.
out
By
of
then,
practice.
well, and I think the next thing you have to do is you have to get an extra steering wheel and another little simulator, because you got to think you and Dave Klein had to go head to head. Has Dave Klein used it at all yet?
Nah, he's used it once.
Did he like it?
I think he did. Well, no, because it was on like I had to adjust the settings for him because he was like it was a little too hard for him to handle. I think we'll
work on it.
We'll work on it. I think in a dream world, if he didn't have projects, he'd want to use it.
Right? No, 100%.
He talks about it a lot. Yeah, I think
it was a good gift.
I think so too. I think he'll use it eventually. I think he'll use it eventually. But anyway, Patrick, that's the show. Make sure you guys DM us if you're watching at this point to get a free mug at Picks and Pancakes on Instagram. Follow us on all our socials. Follow Patrick on TikTok now. And visit us at picksandpancakes.com to read everything that's happening in sports. Patrick, you have a wonderful day.
You too, Josh.